idea. I was just like, all right, let's ride the wave. My first video got 700 views. Now I was like, I'm gonna be a star.
Yeah.
Some videos got like 20 views, 50 views. So I was just enjoying the process. Until today, I love the process, which is why I make a video every single day. This is a 24/7 job. I'm thinking of ideas all the time. Maybe 1 month you make $0 and the next month you make so much. So it's super, super variable. You can charge $2,000 for a video because I just have to speak in it. On TikTok, obviously it's more expensive, maybe reaching like $8,000, $10,000 for a video. But on Instagram and YouTube, where it's smaller, it might be $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. If people have some doubt in me or what I'm posting, I guess that drives me more to like, I guess, prove them wrong maybe to a certain extent. Keep persevering. Like I know that there are times when like it's really tough to think that, oh, how do I get to that stage where I have millions of followers? But it's again about focusing on the process and just don't give up too early.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 6 of The Uncommon Path. Today we are interviewing Avi, a 25-year-old content creator who's amassed 1.9 million followers across all of his social media platforms. He's an amazing dude. He's also a full-time cricket player for the national team of Singapore. So I think it's going to be really inspiring to hear about his journey. But also, if you're looking to be a content creator or looking to make content, this is going to be a very valuable episode for you. And without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode.
Dude, I love this. This is so professional. I love it so much.
All right, man. So, Avi, obviously I've known you for
ages.
A decade now. Yeah. But for those who don't know who you are you and what have you built?
All right. Hello, everyone. Hello. My name's Avi. Basically, I'm a content creator. I'm a professional athlete. I guess professional athlete comes first. I graduated from UWC East, same as Kyle, a year younger. And not like everyone, to be honest, we did NS for 2 years. And after that, like everyone, we went to uni. And so during uni, COVID hit, which meant that we were all stuck at home. And in that boredom, well, first of all, I tore my ATFL. So I was stuck at home in a boot.
What's an ATFL?
It's a ligament in my ankle.
Okay.
So I tore that. Pain, so much pain. But I couldn't move. So because of that, I guess I started doing content creation and it came in the form of ping pong trick shots. So I would just like do some ping pong trick, which is really why I'm pretty good at like beer pong.
Hidden talent over there.
And so, yeah, that's how I got started. And I would just follow the common TikTok trends. I did do some dances. I'm not proud of them, but like they're there in my timeline. And I would merge that with some ping pong trick shots. And that got me, I think 20,000 followers till the end of 2021. And at that point, I was like, all right, let me take on this Indian dad persona and see where it goes. Because back in high school, I created a YouTube channel. And that was basically like imitating Indian people and like what we do day to day, I guess. Like my dad's, like what moms do and stuff like that. And so I was like, all right, let's see where this goes. And it immediately took off. And so I guess that's where I realized, okay, maybe there's a niche for this and comedy. And for I think the first couple of years, that's how it started, where I was just doing Indian dads when you go on road trips, Indian dads when you see your son's grades, Indian moms at home, stuff like that. And it's evolved into more comedic skits, whether it's teacher, student related skits, whether it's sibling stuff. Just, I guess, more relatable content that brings a smile to people's face and that they can enjoy. So, yeah, I guess it's been, 3.5, 4 years of that. And now we're here. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, actually. Like, you kind of just started it for fun, then amassing 20,000 followers from just doing dances and stuff. Yeah. I think that's already kind of impressive, to be honest. Because, like, that was the time when everyone was doing it as well. Like, TikTok was mainly like a dance platform, right?
Yep.
And then your hidden talent of ping pong trick shots as well. So you're kind of just like had fun with it. And did you have like a plan? Like, what was that something you were like, oh, you were just finishing national service, right?
I'd started uni, so 2020 April. So I was like
Just started.
Yeah, I started August 2019. So it's basically end of halfway through my second semester.
Yeah. So just out of boredom, you essentially started this, and you didn't know where it was gonna go.
No idea. I was just like, all right, let's ride the wave. My first video got 700 views. Now I was like, I'm gonna be a star. Yeah. But yeah, it was just seeing where it went. It only actually became a reality that I could possibly become a content creator like in my last semester of uni. That's realistically when which was I guess 3 years later.
Okay, so that was recent then.
Yeah,
you just graduated.
Yeah, it was 2023 March, around there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, damn. So you started it out of boredom. When was that point where you're like, okay, maybe I'm going to put a little bit more effort. I'm going to stop the dancing, start doing stuff that maybe has more inherent value, maybe something that you enjoy a little bit more.
I think it was at that start when I started doing like Indian dads when guests leave the house. And so Indian parents, for example, they'll just walk you to the door and then keep talking for like 45 minutes. Then like, oh, no, let's have some tea. Then come back, sit, wait another 2 hours. And then they leave and then they drop you downstairs. And at the car, they're still talking for another 30 minutes. So I guess these was like some of the things that have happened in my life. And so because of that, I started this Indian dad series. And that's when I think I realized that there's more value in doing that than I guess the trends that you see.
And were you just doing that on TikTok or?
Yeah. So TikTok is where it all started. It was only there because at the start I was kind of nervous, like what people will think. Like let's say my TikTok, I had no friends on the platform, but Instagram, we have all our friends from school, other people that we met in NS, so and so. And so at the start I was just scared, like, what are they going to think? Like, will they laugh at me? Is it cringe and stuff like that? So I didn't upload on Instagram till like end of 2022. And so there was a huge backlog of videos that I had to go through. And so, yeah.
Yeah, no, because I still remember I was following you on Instagram and then all of a sudden, like I knew about your TikTok, was watching you on TikTok. But all of a sudden I see you start posting on Instagram. And I think that was like, I think a pretty big step for you too, right? Kind of like TikTok's fun. No one really cares what you do on TikTok, right? It's it's like, it's meant to be for those kinds of things, but Instagram is like where maybe was a bit more personal for you. And you decided to do that on your personal account. Like you didn't make a new account. And I actually did that with I had a fitness page back in like 2017. I started it and I like grew it to 60,000 followers, but I did it on my personal account too. And it was like super scary. Yeah. Cause like your friends are on there. Yep. And I remember like I lost like 200 followers when I was posting. Cause it's just your friends are probably like, who's this weirdo posting these things? Like, I'm not interested in that anymore. Like they followed you for you and not for maybe what you're doing. So like, did you have that at the beginning? Like were maybe your friends very supportive, or did you feel like some people were like hating on it? Like how was the beginning for you?
So, I mean, on TikTok, it was like, dude, this is so cringe. Why are you doing it? Dude, why are you doing this? Why are you doing it?
Like your friends are telling you this?
Friends are telling me this. And I was like, dude, like what do I have to lose when it comes to this? No one follows me. Why not? And I actually got a few of my friends involved in some videos like early on, like who's the funniest? And it would be like a filter and we all turn around and it zooms into someone's face. And so like, I guess people like that to a certain level. But again, it wasn't like my day-to-day thing that would get people to follow me, I think. So yeah, I guess that's where it started. And by the time I started uploading to Instagram, I had gained like, I think 400,000 followers on TikTok. So I guess that gave me the confidence to start uploading on Instagram. And at that point, no one could really say anything to me because I had achieved that success on TikTok. There's still some of my friends who are like closest friends who will still be like, bro, what the hell is this? But it's okay. Like that's the most important thing as I guess content creators. And if you're doing anything on your own is like to not care about what other people will think. Like it's really important to be confident in yourself, in what you do. And I guess like now I don't take anything from anyone. Like even if they're giving me some slack, like, okay, like I'll still do what I do and what I enjoy.
Yeah. What do you think is that like I'm sure you've had times where you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to post this. Like, yeah, how do you get over that? Like, how do you get over fearing what other people might say or other people might think?
I mean, see, like, I forgot it wasn't a quote, but there was someone who had like, I think it was Matt Rife, the comedian. He's become huge, and like if basically you can't achieve success without having some hate, you know. So if people are, I'm not saying people have hated on me, but like if people have some doubt in me or what I'm posting, I guess that drives me more to like, I guess, prove them wrong maybe to a certain extent. But also like, yeah, it's just that what's the worst that can happen? People don't like it. It doesn't get that many views. Like, so I guess I thought in that sense, what it would be like.
Yeah. So you just basically thought like worst comes to worst, like I might get a comment or two.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone that was like an acquaintance might not want to talk to me anymore, but then who cares? And at least the real ones are still there.
Exactly. And the funny thing is like acquaintances now who like, I guess would not call me friends back in school now are like, oh bro, I know this guy. And so like, it's like a kind of roles reversal kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
it's like what Post Malone said, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, dude.
But that's super interesting because I think nowadays people do look at content creation with more like a means to an end. Like they see a potential, could be financial goal, could be like, oh, they just want fame or to get more friends. But you just started this out for fun.
Yeah.
Did you research like, okay, you know, the comedic stuff, the skits and things were what people like, so I'm going to do that? Or did you just like, how did you come up with your style and your genre of content?
Oh, I mean, so I did no research, no nothing. It was just off like a whim. I was like, all right, maybe let's try this out. Because I'd started seeing like people doing skits, and I used to really enjoy them on TikTok, but I never knew how to make them, you know, like how do people edit it? How do people like put themselves in front of the camera? Because usually I didn't do stuff with my own voice. It would just be like a voiceover. For example, I did that wipe down challenge, the wipe it down. So it was like a song. And so you can add like creative transitions to that. So that's all that I'd actually done till then. And so putting out my voice in real life, that was like a big step because like you don't know how people will view you in that case. But yeah, so it was, I guess, the catalyst, and like that just gave me confidence to keep doing it.
Oh, yeah. I think confidence is that key too as well. Like it's, do you believe in that like fake it till you make it like kind of thing? Like when you're just starting out, you're probably not going to be that great at something you do, right? Yeah. And content creation is definitely something a lot of people want to try and do, and their content might not look as good as other people. But like, if someone was about to start and they weren't so confident in themselves, like putting themselves out there, what advice would you give them?
Honestly, take that leap. Like, take that first step. Like when I started out in TikTok, I had 0 followers. So who's gonna actually see my video? Technically, no one. And so when you post something, like you shouldn't be worried because again, at the start, it won't get that many views, but that's how you build your audience through them enjoying what you do and like what you can provide to them in a entertaining manner, whether it's being a food blogger, whether it's being something in sport, whether it's music, dance. There's so many different elements, but like, yeah, it's important to just take that step at the start.
Yeah. It's a scary thing too, because like, you know, so many thoughts can go through your head. And I think someone said, even just starting this podcast thing, right? Like obviously I'm a bit scared,
yeah.
But yeah, at the end of the day, like when you just start out, not many people are going to be watching anyways. So even if it's a bit embarrassing, like not many people are going to know you.
Yeah.
I think it might actually get scarier when a lot of people watch you, you know, and like later on you're like, wow, I'm getting all these views. And like, yeah, even with like my TikTok, I just started out making videos, like no one was watching. And then a few went really viral. And then I have like people approaching me at the gym saying, oh, I know you. And like that to me was more like, that was more scary to me than actually just starting out. So like maybe just reframing perspective as well as just like at the end of the day, what you can do. So yeah, when you were at university, that's when you basically were going all in.
Yeah.
Like how was that like studying? You were at NUS, right?
Yeah.
Like how's that studying and also like trying to grow your content, your brand or whatever? Like how was that?
I mean, at the start, it was a bit tough just because I'm a studious person. So like I want to do well in class. And I had cricket on the side, not the side, that was my priority. So I was trying to schedule classes so that I would have them in the morning. And Yale-NUS, they were really nice to me. They were like, yeah, sure, we're happy to have you schedule your thing, because national athlete, they gave some priority to that. And so I would train in the evenings. And content creation didn't really become that big a part of my life at that stage, because making a trend took me like a minute. You just had to think about it a bit, wear some nice clothes. The only thing that might take some time is making the actual ping pong trick shot. So maybe like I would spend 20 minutes on it max if I wasn't making the shot, but luckily I'd become pretty good at it. So like it took a bit less. So at the start, I think it was easier for sure, because making the videos was easy. But let's say if you want to think about ideas, that takes far longer, which is why this is a 24/7 job. I'm thinking of ideas all the time, because you don't know what stimulus will be in front of you at a given time to make content. And then I'll just put it in my notes and then keep it for the future, and then maybe write a script about it or think about it later. So I guess as I grew in followers, it became tougher, because you also have like a level that you want to hold for people to enjoy what you're doing. Like if you just do anything, sometimes people won't enjoy it as much. And like, for example, people watch me because hopefully I make them laugh in a certain way, or I make content that's relatable to them. So if I do stuff that I guess is not as relatable, then they might not watch it. So there's a heavy level of thinking that has to go into making something that people can also resonate with. So yeah, I guess it became tougher over time. But at the start, it was more easy because I didn't really think about what I was making. I was like, oh yeah, let's just try this out and see what happens.
Yeah. Did you ever feel like being a content creator at that time ever negatively impact your studies?
No, fortunately not. Just because, again, it didn't take up much time. If anything, the 6 hours of training that I was doing for cricket was impacting my actual time to study. But yeah, like you learn some tricks in uni on like how to efficiently study, what to actually read versus reading the whole book, speaking to profs. Like I guess like I became better at that. And so my time efficiency was far better. So it helped in that sense.
Did it ever have like, was there a positive impact that being a content creator did with your social life in university, maybe like the cricket side of things as well? Did you ever feel like a positive side of it?
So at the start, no, because people are like, bro, what the hell are you doing? But afterwards, once I gained some traction, people would come up to me and be like, oh, what's your process like to make videos? Like, how do you come up with ideas? Can I be in your video? Stuff like that. So like, I guess certain elements of like getting friends involved with videos. People also like in different stages. I used to film a lot at Yale-NUS. Shout out Yale-NUS. In classes, because like, let's say I'm doing a teacher-student video, it's so much better for the audience when it's taking place in a classroom. You know, like I've got the whiteboards behind me, I've got the seats, projector. It just makes it more authentic. So in that sense, I used to ask my friends, and my friends would ask me, can I help you film? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Because like they also want to see the process, how it's like. So yeah, that guy, I guess in that sense, I got more of my friends involved. And they were also really supportive. Like everyone has been very like helpful in my journey. They're happy for like the success I've had. And like, they're like, oh dude, sometimes they're like, can you make a video for my friend? Cause he's a big fan. So I'm like, yeah, sure. Absolutely. Like for like a happy
cameo.
Like, yeah, exactly that. Exactly that.
Yeah. Do you think it was ever like, do you think if you didn't get the views and attention, or like if you didn't find success on the platform, would you have still made videos?
For sure. Because at the start, like some videos got like 20 views, 50 views. So I was just enjoying the process. Until today, I love the process, which is why I make a video every single day. Like that's just I love it so much. And I love like even laughing at myself. Like it's so enjoyable. And I think beyond impressing people or making people happy, it's like I'm happy myself in what I'm doing. And I think, again, like if you are happy, you will always want to do what you're doing, right? So, and you give that extra 100% or 50%, whatever it is. So I guess because I've enjoyed it so much, I've been motivated to continue creating.
Yeah, you've been very consistent the last 4 years with it. Do you think that's largely to do with your passion for it? Or maybe is there some also fear of stopping?
I think it's both. Like fear of stopping. You don't know what'll happen. Because I've seen like some creators who posted really regularly. For example, Casey Neistat. He used to post a vlog every day and his vlogs were unbelievable. And there was a point where he stopped. And I guess he had reached a level of success that it doesn't matter whether or not he keeps going or stops. But like for me to think about stopping, like I think I also didn't want to stop because I really enjoyed it. But it was just, some part of me is like scared what'll happen if I stop just because it's become such a key part of my life. But also like I'm driven by success and all like seeing people engage with my videos, seeing comments that people send me DMs that I get that thank you so much for making these videos. It's really made me happy during this exam season, for example. That stuff that like really motivates me to keep making content so that people can enjoy it.
Yeah. So what aspect of it do you think you're passionate about? Like, is it the actual creative process? Is it the feedback? Is it seeing something that you're building? You're essentially building like a personal brand. Like what do you think you're actually passionate about when it comes to it?
So at the start, it was, I guess, the comments and the feedback, I guess the likes, which drive you, the views. But over time, it's really become the creative process for me. Like I've learned so much through editing my own videos, different elements, how to put sounds in your videos, how to visual effects, change your voice, change just the way your video to enhance it basically. And that really like is something I really engaged with so much. Of course, like reading comments and stuff, it makes me so happy to see that people are laughing at the videos or with me as well. But yeah, it's changed over time to, I guess, really enjoying the process as opposed to the result. Yeah.
So that process for people that are trying to get into content creation, and I think that process will look different depending on what kind of content you're creating. Yours is very like skit focused. What's that process like from start to finish for you?
So basically, whenever I have an idea, I'll just put it down in my notes. And I revisit my notes every day because there's like a list of different ideas from what I've seen, from what aunties and uncles have said. For example, I was in the US just now and my mom's brother, so my uncle, he was trying to find his phone and he has an Apple Watch and he like rings his phone and it's in his pocket. And I'm like, bro, that's like, what? So I noted that down immediately and like, now I'll revisit it and I want to make a video on that because I'm sure so many uncles and aunties and moms and dads are like, where's my phone? Where's my phone? And it's literally right in front of them. So I guess that was an example. But yeah, so I make the notes, revisit it every day, and I'll choose, for example, an idea that I had thought of or I've seen or that's inspired me, and I'll flesh out a script for it. And then so that's actually what takes the longest time, to create a script that's engaging, to create a script that people will really enjoy, that has words and phrases that people can resonate with, or like just the tone of it. And so after that, then I go into filming. Filming is actually the easiest part. It takes like 20 minutes. Depends on how many characters I have. For example, I made a video with 8 characters. So obviously that'll take a lot longer because you have to change. You have to put a shawl on if I'm the mom, put glasses on if I'm dad, however so. And then, then it's the editing process, which is, I guess, again, depends on the type of video. If it's a solo video, there's no editing. I just have to cut it to fit the time that I want. But if there's a lot more characters, then it could take an hour. But it's become a refined process on average, like an hour. So,
So hour a day, basically.
Basically, yeah.
And then you're essentially creating these ideas from like random moments.
Yeah.
Is it just the notes app on your phone?
Yeah.
Is it
as simple as that?
Yeah.
Literally.
I think there was a famous comedian, I don't know who, I think Jimmy Carr maybe was interviewed, and he was just basically saying like all the ideas I have, it's not like he sits down and like tries to think about what idea to create, but it's just random stuff that happens that is normally the thing that does the best.
Yeah, exactly.
And gets the most positive feedback. Do you think as part of the creative process, like, was there ever a time where you're like, damn, I'm going to run out of ideas?
I mean, writer's block, I guess. I've been fortunate enough to like not have that problem, I guess, just because I'm thinking all the time. But I completely understand. There have been some days where I guess thinking of an idea or a script that you think will engage people is far tougher. Which is why, like, for example, obviously Indian dad and that persona is what help propel my career in making videos. But at one point I was just starting to do Indian dads related to like anything. Indian dads when you order pizza, Indian dads when you go to McDonald's. And so that can become a bit saturated, which is why I started branching out to other things, because if you keep something very repetitive, then there's room for it to, I guess, not be as engaging. Because let's say someone does the same thing over and over again, you know it's going to be, you know what to expect. There's no like flair that's there to engage you. So I guess, yeah, when it comes to like thinking of ideas, there have been times definitely where it's tough because, I don't know, like sometimes ideas do run out. Like I can't imagine like comedians and stuff who have to perform every day at places, like their ideas are limitless. But yeah, it does happen. And like it's part of being a creator. It's part of like trying to entertain people. You just have to think outside the box. And also sometimes at that time, I would not force myself to make a video. I would just like look around, even scrolling on TikTok, scrolling on Instagram to see what is there for inspiration out in the world, because there 8 billion people now in the world. Like you can get inspiration from anywhere and looking at anything. So it's just about taking that time. Sometimes it might take a while. Sometimes it doesn't. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you think is the key thing about you personally that has allowed you to amass millions of followers? Like, is there a trait? Is there a way you think? Is there something that's unique to you? What do you think is the reason why?
I think the biggest thing is my discipline, that I've not let myself slack off any day at all. For example, like when I just flew to the US, it was a 19.5-hour flight. So that's like my whole day gone. But I chose to make a video in the flight because there's so much inspiration within a flight. Like people take planes all the time. So when it comes to that, just making a video every day, I think has been like one of my key points of success, because yeah, I've been very hardworking in that sense. And yeah, just all around disciplined overall. So I think, yeah, that's the main one.
Yeah. What drives that discipline? Is it just habit at this point where like you feel weird if you don't make a video?
No, yeah. So it's become habit that I have to make a video every day. Like at the moment, I don't know why, but my brain has been working so much that I've been making 2 videos a day just because like I guess creativity comes and goes. So yeah, part of it is just that habit, but also like I really enjoy it. So every day I look forward to creating something new and something that I'll enjoy making and I'll enjoy watching myself. So yeah.
Yeah. Has there ever been a day where you didn't want to make a video that you felt like, maybe this, is a means to an end. Like, I don't want to do this forever. Like, have there been times for you like that?
So days that I was sick, I really wanted to make a video, but I'm just like it does take energy, and especially like to get that energy through the camera to the audience, you can feel it if someone's sick, like even like when acting, for example, in a play, like if you've seen someone's like under the weather, you can tell. And day-to-day life, like if you're with your family, when someone's not feeling well, you can really feel it. So the same way, like if I was sick, there have been some days that I've not made a video or I'm just tired, even though I have an idea. But those days, the way I manage to get over it is that I write more scripts and I flesh out more ideas that I can make next day. So let's say if I forgot to make a video today, I will make 2 tomorrow, or I'll make up for it. So yeah.
Damn. So it sounds like it's just a very natural thing for you. Like it's
become natural. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you think like maybe if someone is not as, if it doesn't come as naturally to them, like at the beginning, was it like that for you?
At the beginning, for sure, because I was also trying to think of ways on how do I bring this across in a way that people will enjoy it. So I didn't really know when I started it. And I guess it also comes down to the feedback that you get. So if you're getting views, that means that people are enjoying it. So that was, I guess, my reassurance that what I'm doing is getting some level of success within the audience, whoever is watching it. So I think that's important, just to look at the feedback you're getting, whether it's actual comments, whether it's views, shares, whatever it may be. There are different analytics and opinions and things that people say that can really help you gauge what kind of content is good for you and good for your audience.
Yeah. What do you think is the most common mistake you see other creators, it could be new creators or people who have been doing it for a while, but yeah, what's the most common mistake you see creators make?
I think, I don't know if it's a mistake, but people who like try for a little bit and then give up, like keep persevering. Like I know that there are times when like it's really tough to think that, oh, how do I get to that stage where I have millions of followers? But it's again about focusing on the process and just don't give up too early. I'm trying to think of other possible mistakes. I think that's the main one for now. If I think of another mistake, I haven't really thought of.
Because I also think like when you just start out, like it's very rare to have someone just have great content from the get-go. Yeah. And I've built an Instagram page, I've built TikTok, and now I'm building YouTube. I think YouTube is definitely one of the hardest things to do. But for each of them, I think it's like exactly what you said. You have to find joy in the process, because if you don't find joy in the process, it's going to be really difficult to just stick through with it. And those platforms always reward people who firstly get better and produce good content, but it's the people who just like keep posting. And I think it's that consistency that allows, no one really knows what the algorithm is, targeting or whatever, but yeah, there are things that if you do those consistently, and I think consistency is probably the biggest thing. If you do those consistently, having a good hook, having, taking the feedback, whether that's likes, views, comments, and then just adjusting, seeing and experimenting with different ideas, and seeing what does well and what doesn't well. And then whatever does well, you hone in on that. And it really is sometimes the small little details, right? And everyone's competing. Anyone can pick up their phone and post a video, right? Yeah. So that first, 2 to 3 seconds, that hook, I think is super, super important when it comes to making short form content. And for you talked about scripting earlier.
One sec. I thought about a mistake.
Yeah.
A mistake is if you try and do this for money. So people have tried to get into the industry because they want to make money. For example, I've seen people make videos that, giving $10 to people who I see in public in the hopes that it'll get views. But if you go in with the intention of making money, you're going to fail. You have to do when you start this, you want to start it because you enjoy it, because it's your passion, because you like making people smile, like making people laugh, or like informative, for example, MKBHD and what he does with tech. Like there's so many areas in the world that people can make videos about, but your bottom line is you want to enjoy what you're doing. And if you're doing it for money, you're doing it for the wrong reason. So that's like a mistake, that if you are trying to get in because you want to make means to an end or like to make some quick cash, that's wrong.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because is that because it's wrong because it's, obviously the money, it's very hard to make money from this, and that might demotivate you, and then therefore you'll stop doing it because you don't enjoy the process, you only have a means to an end? Or do you think like people would you want more and more people to be doing content not for the money and for fame, and like more about like just enjoy it essentially?
I mean, like if you're thinking about making content for the money, that is your sole reason to make content. I make content because I want to make people laugh, because I want people to enjoy it. And that's my driving force to make videos. It's not because, I'll get some money at the end of the day. So I guess like then you can find out like true passion, and like, then you're more committed to what you're doing. Because let's say you don't get the money, then all you're thinking about is the cash. But if you're thinking about creative content and making interesting videos, then I guess you're more engaged in what you're doing, and you're not just making videos that will get you some money. Like, of course, there are videos that people will have that go viral, and it does because they have the right catch line. For example, Casey Neistat's video on I flew the most expensive flight in the world got some, 60 million views on YouTube. And I'm sure you get lots of money for that. And because it's very engaging. But how often can you do that, right? Like, he just documented his day-to-day life in such a creative manner that people loved him for that, and not because like you're doing it for money only.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I mean, because like I think it is easier now to make money from making content. I think like the early days, it was just unheard of. Like, brands also didn't want to sponsor content creators like 10 years ago, you know? So now I think it is easier. And then with these creator packages that TikTok are putting out, YouTube are paying people, I do think it is a bit easier to make money. But what would you say to someone who's, you know, broke, you know, who's in like a less privileged position, and they're like, I need to make money, and, you know, the something that I might be good at is content creation? Would you still want them to try, even though that, you know, money is probably like a big motivator for them?
So absolutely, I understand those situations, and in that case, I mean, it's a mix, because obviously if you're doing something you enjoy and you find happiness from it, that's how people get the most success. You know, happiness does breed success because you love what you do. And so there's a balance, of course. And I think like in terms of influencers, there's a certain level I feel like you can reach where you can have maybe 30, 40,000 followers, and you can make good money from, I don't know, people giving you products or like inviting you out. But if you want to get to that next level of like hundreds of thousands or millions of followers, that's where I think you have to have a true passion for creation as opposed to money being the driving factor. Because yeah, you definitely can earn like $100, $200, $300 around all the time if you have the ability to influence in whichever way. So yeah, I guess reaching that next level is where that true passion will help you get there, I guess.
Yeah. So you've been doing this for 3.5 years. When was the time where you actually started to make money from it?
So I was reached to very early on, at the end of 2021, or like midway through. So about a year into making content. But again, these were like very, very small things, all locally based. And it was like nothing to write home about. But that's when it had started. And I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know that this happened. And again, like my intention was never to make money. So this was like, okay, very cool.
How many followers did you have at the time?
Like 15,000, 10,000
Wow.
maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very, very low, because I mean, see, we live in Singapore and our population is very small. And when you make content, it all starts out in the place that you're based, usually, like the place where it's pushed out to. So us living in Singapore, obviously, was Singapore, Southeast Asia, where the content would be shown first. And like, for example, let's say I spoke Hindi only in my content, then of course it would be appeal to more Indian audiences and go there. But being in Singapore, I guess my immediate audience was Singapore. And so that's why Singaporean brands would start reaching out to me for, I guess, collaborations or partnerships. So yeah, at that point that's how it started.
And did you like actually take any of those deals at the beginning?
So at the start, I was like, oh my God, yeah, 100%, like $100 to make a video, $150. Yeah, why not? Like it was unheard of for me. So I was like, 100%, let's do this. But over time, I've learned to realize like you can pick and choose what you like, what you enjoy making. The partnerships that you have with brands is very important. And so, yeah.
Do you remember what was the brand you first?
Yeah, so the
first partnership with?
First partnership was with Universal Music Singapore. And there was a new song that had been released, and they were like, can you do a video with your parents just dancing to the song? And I was like, sure. And my parents, they loved it. So they were like, yeah, why not?
You got paid like $100 for that?
Yeah, literally like $100.
That's great.
So yeah, that's how it started.
That's super easy to do for you. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. And that's really interesting. Like you only had 10, 15K. So that was really early on for you too.
Yeah.
And now you've partnered up with some big brands, you know, MyProtein, Samsung, Singapore Airlines. Like you've gone, I mean, Universal Music is actually pretty big. So
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say something like super small, like an unheard of brand, but you actually from the get-go Do you think it's something that you still think about now, or are you maybe less open to sponsorships and more careful with who you're picking now since you're so big?
I think so. In terms of being big, dude, I'm not big at all. There are people who have like hundreds and millions of followers. So I guess like I've reached a level that I'm very happy with, and I want to keep growing. But no, like people have like big as like, I don't know, Kabi Lame, or like people who have like 30, 40 millions of followers. But in terms of sponsorships, yeah, it's important for me to pick and choose the right people that I want to work with, and like who I may enjoy working with in the future, have opportunity with working in the future. But also I've done a lot of reaching out to brands myself, where like I'm like, hey guys, I'm a content creator. I would love to collaborate with you on something. Do let me know if you're interested. And one brand, for example, was GYG. So GYG is Singapore's local like Chipotle, you could say. I've loved them for so long.
Guzmani Gomez.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I've loved their food for the longest time. So I just, on a whim, I went out and I just DM'd them, and they replied. They were like, oh yeah, we'd love to work with you. And so now I'm fortunate enough to be able to work with them and create some content. And yeah, of course, companies do and brands do reach out to me as well. And I'm truly honored that they find my platform one that they're happy to help in promoting their own content and their own brand. But yeah, again, now I guess I've reached a stage that I can pick and choose which ones will be in my best interest as well in the future.
Yeah. And how do I frame this? For someone who is, maybe they've been making videos for a while, or they're thinking about it in the long term, what advice would you have when it comes to finding sponsors, like doing the outreach? Because I think like when it comes to you, obviously it's much easier. Like you don't have to think about who am I going to pick or whatever. But when you actually go out and reach out, like what are you thinking about when you want to work with a company? Is it something that you personally use? Is it maybe something that could get you more reach? A big company could get you more reach. How are you thinking about sponsorships?
So I guess now I'm in a position where like most people who I message, they'll reply back. But I've had so many cold emails, cold messages where I've tried to DM, I don't know, like maybe 1,000 brands now. And early on, they would never reply to me, because if they see someone with like 1,500 followers, they're like, why should I reply to this guy? What does he bring to my company, my brand? But yeah, but at the same time, brands love when people do post about them, even if you have a small number of followers. Let's say you have 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 followers, and you DM a brand. Often they won't be willing to pay you, but they can give you products, like give you a meal that they want reviewed or something of that sort. So you could, that's one way to build your level. And then obviously when you post ads, people notice. And so the word goes around, and later on you might be getting more brand deals as you grow. So yeah, that's another like.
So it's also just generally brands that you like that you're reaching out to as well.
Yep.
And when it comes to sponsorships, do you feel like sometimes you're selling out? Like, is there maybe a fear like, oh, I don't want to take on too many sponsors because then, obviously that might be bad for brand image or whatever?
No, so absolutely. It's a very tight line that you have to walk in terms of creating your own content versus ads. I guess I've been fortunate with like me, because I make a video every day, it doesn't get too saturated. For example, let's say I make one ad a month and I make 30 videos, then like it's just that one ad is like a small bit in terms of the grand scale of things. But if you make too many ads, and of course, like if you made them very like you're trying to sell something, no one's gonna watch that. Like if you're trying to like sell a product, be like, hey guys, buy this product, no one watches that. If you have like ad written on the thing, people are all like, even let's say if I see an ad, I'm more inclined to just swipe up because I know it's an ad, and people don't really want to watch ads. For example, YouTube ads, like you're just trying to skip it or like reload so like it changes, or block the ad, or get an ad blocker, for example. So I guess there's also like a key to creating ads for companies in itself. That's an engaging thing. But yeah, you gotta, I've realized that you have to carefully manage it.
Yeah. And are they quite strict with like how you make the video as well? Like, are there quite strict guidelines and stuff?
So it really depends brand to brand. It'll change. There'll be a brief, what they want you to accomplish. Then you want to also keep it funny, for example, in my case. And so I would like create a script for them, and then they read it over, and then they'll agree or not. What lines do they want to edit? What lines do they want taken out, for example? And of course, from company to company, it varies. Some give me total creative freedom, which is awesome, because I obviously, as a creator, you love that. But some really don't. Like, I'd written a script for this company, and they basically edited the whole thing. And I was like, what's the point of you asking me for a script if you're just going to edit the whole thing to make it so salesy? And at that time, it's like, then you analyze like these brands in the future, maybe you don't really want to work with, because they don't give you that creative freedom. And there should be like it's a partnership, right? It's not just like one thing being told to me to make it. So I guess, yeah, it varies from brand to brand, ad to ad, company to company. Some, give more creative freedom, some don't. And so you got to just navigate that as a creator.
For an account your size, I mean, you've also got multi-platform, like YouTube, you have like 300K, Instagram, you've got 300K, and then TikTok's your biggest one with like 1 million plus. Roughly, if you don't mind sharing, what's like a creator of your size able to earn from like a sponsorship deal? Like what do you think would be like the average?
So it varies from content to content, because it really depends on requirements. For example, let's say sometimes I can charge $2,000 for a video because I just have to speak in it. But let's say I have to go out in the city to film, to do other stuff. It could go to $8,000 because of what's the requirement. So it really depends from brand to brand, and it also depends on their budget. So this is like a discussion you should have with the brand that's engaging you, is what's your budget? What's your rate? And obviously, as a creator, I have a rate card for different platforms. So if on TikTok, obviously it's more expensive, maybe reaching like $8,000, $10,000 for a video. But on Instagram and YouTube, where it's smaller, it might be $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. And it really depends. Even on TikTok, I could charge $2,000 for a video because like maybe the brand is a brand that like I really like. So again, that's when you pick and choose for basically what videos you want to make, because let's say you love a brand and you've been using them for so long, and maybe it's a partnership that you want lasting in the future, then obviously like you don't really think, for example, I don't think about the money at all when it comes to that, because I just want to really enjoy working with the brand. But then other things, obviously, like if you want to get paid, then it varies from platform to platform.
Yeah, that's really interesting. How did you come up with the pricing? Was that something like you mentioned cards? What's the like rate cards? Yeah. Is that what you said? So like, someone that's thinking about getting sponsors, or like they've already got offers coming to them. Was there some video you watched? Someone mentored you when it comes to that? Like, how would a creator know how much to charge essentially?
So yeah, at the start, even till now, I don't know how much to charge for videos, but I'm fortunate that I've been able to speak to a lot of creators who are in the industry who are far bigger than me, and they gave me advice on what to charge and how to charge, how to know what you're worth, how to know what brands might have more funding or more or be restricted with their budget. So I've learned from like my superiors or people who I look up to in the industry.
Yeah. Did you have a mentor helping you? Like,
there hasn't been a mentor, but there have been friends of mine who are bigger, and like I just talk to them like on a peer-to-peer basis to ask them what struggles they've had, how do they manage to make money, how do they know what to charge, and even they also don't know what's the best rate for them to charge, because you never know. It depends on the budget, depends on the brand as well. So it's very much a case-by-case basis on how much you can make.
Yeah. And has the price for what you charge jumped a lot since, you've been doing this for 3.5 years?
I think it definitely has. Obviously, it's increased over time. I wouldn't say it's like skyrocketed above, because at the end of the day, I do also understand the brand's perspective. Like, brands have a limited budget. They also want to try and get content across in whatever way and means possible. So I guess I'm not one person who like charge like a stupid $20,000 for a video. But yeah, I guess like I've learned over time what I'm worth as well and what my reach is worth.
Yeah. And are you doing this? You're doing this full time now, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, so cricket is my profession and cricket will come first for everything, whether it's training, whether it's tournaments, that will always be my priority. But besides that, whenever I'm free, yeah, it's content creation, which is what I'm doing.
So obviously you're getting paid to play professional cricket, and then you're getting paid to do content creation. Does for someone looking to be a creator, how like is the income level very variable? Like, can it go up 1 month? Because I feel like that's something that people are thinking like, yeah, it might look like a fun job, but also it could be very unstable. And maybe like what you do is like you have like a full-time job and then you also do this. I mean, it's also a full-time job, but like you essentially have two things that you're doing. Is it very variable?
It can be.
On a
it can be
basis?
1 month you make $0 and the next month you make so much. So it's super, super variable. It depends on when ads come in, when they don't. And I guess one part of stability which people get, which unfortunately doesn't exist in Singapore, is the TikTok Creator Fund and the Instagram Creator Fund. And those exist in the US only, or like Australia, UK, where you get paid per views for a video, like YouTube. But in Asia and Singapore, for example, you don't get that. So I could be making a stable amount of money if I had my TikTok career in the US and Instagram as well, because they will pay you based on views. But the only, I guess, stable income that you make is based on YouTube, which has been consistent throughout, where they pay you based on views and like ads that come in. But yeah, TikTok and Instagram, especially in Singapore, the creator funds don't exist. So there's no room for, I guess, that stable earning. But yeah, so then ads will come and go, companies will come and go. So some months you could be great, other months you can be like, oh no, nothing.
Yeah. So it's essentially just sponsorship money. There's no ad revenue that comes in from platforms. Yeah. Wow. That's really difficult, man. Yeah. Because like I know creators in the US are making good money. Yeah, like you could be making like decent money, in the $10,000 plus per month, just the views you're getting. You could be earning like really good money from that. So that's difficult. So I guess for the creators in Singapore, like definitely think about like how you're going to pay your bills if you're going to go full time into content creation.
Absolutely.
What did you study in uni? And like, did you ever think like after graduating, you'd be doing what you're doing right now?
So at the start, definitely not. At the start, like obviously cricket has been my priority for everything. So that's just been the goal. Through uni, I didn't do any internships. Every summer was just training as much as I could, preparing for tournaments throughout the year. But what I studied in uni, I was originally an econ major. And a year into the course, I did a class called econometrics, which I hated. It is one of the most tough courses. It's a bunch of stats, calculus within econ, and it's more math than economics. Econ. So I guess that's when I wanted to switch. So I actually switched between global affairs and PPE, which is politics, philosophy, and econ, because I'd taken already my econ classes that satisfied the requirement for PPE. And I really enjoyed politics, and philosophy I absolutely hated, but somehow I was good at it. Like I knew how to write the essays. And I've always been a person who doesn't enjoy exams. So I much rather prefer writing essays because it just comes more naturally to me, and you have that time buffer. And because I guess I was good with my time, I was always done a week before the deadline. So yeah, in the end, I graduated with a degree in PPE, which I guess opens up the world to a lot of possibilities if I want to go into the workforce, whether it's consulting, whether it's banking, whether it's journalism, or anything really. So I guess that degree is very diverse. So yeah, that's what I did at uni.
Yeah. Was there a point where maybe you were like, I'm just going to drop out of uni and just do this full time? Like you did find a lot of success with it and you were already making some money from sponsorships and stuff. But what would you say to someone who's maybe in university right now or in high school and they're like, I'm making money, like I might as well just drop out. Like it's a waste of time.
I mean, for me, I have Indian parents, so there's no way that I would ever be able to drop out. But obviously, you hear about the incredible cases, 1 in a million. They're like Mark Zuckerberg, who dropped out of uni and created something insane. And there are a lot of other people who've also dropped out of uni. And if there's a viable way for you to obviously earn that income, then by all means, like you should do it. There's a very good friend of mine now in the States who did drop out of uni, and he's doing extremely well in content creation. And so like he's someone who I look up to in terms of what he's been able to achieve. And so it's definitely possible. If you're willing to take that risk, then of course do it. But having the stability of knowing that you have that degree, just if you want to get into the workforce, also gives you something to lean back on. For example, let's say you do drop out of uni and content creation doesn't go to plan like you wanted it to. What's your fallback option? So if you don't have the degree, then maybe it becomes a bit more difficult. So I guess I'm fortunate because I did do my uni degree and I was able to do this simultaneously. So if content creation doesn't go to plan, then maybe I'll join the workforce.
Yeah. Do you think, how do you see this playing out? Like, are you thinking about the future a lot, or are you just enjoying, what you're doing? I mean, you're a professional athlete, you're a content creator. Those are two things that maybe, professional athlete, there will be a time where you have to retire, right? And being a content creator, like one day maybe you might stop enjoying it. Do you think about the future? And
definitely, I've got two goals. One is to hopefully be able to pursue cricket as a career. It's very difficult, especially like not being in a country that's a huge cricketing nation. So that's one thing, to be able to make cricket as a career. But the other avenue, which I think TikTok and making comedic skits has maybe given me a platform for, is going into acting. I was always really much into acting in school. I would act in the play until grade 9, but then sports took over because 3 sports plus national team during school was really difficult. You just couldn't manage time. But acting is definitely something that I've always wanted to do. Obviously, being in Singapore, it might be a bit difficult because acting scene here isn't that big. So maybe branching out to Bollywood or Hollywood or something, I'd be definitely open to doing as something I've really wanted to do. And so I guess, that's something in terms of future plans, what I've thought of at a very superficial level. But for the time being, I'm just enjoying what I'm doing and making sure that I keep enjoying it. And don't have that burnout.
Do you ever feel pressure from societal norms? Like, I'm sure at this age, you catch up with friends, you see what they're doing. And I think the majority of people are in, corporate jobs, 9 to 5.
Yep.
Was there ever a point for you, maybe you're like, okay, that's something that I might want to do just because it's more stable, it's more conventional? Like, do you ever feel that pressure?
Oh, absolutely. And like still today, I think about, let's say if this doesn't go well, what do I have to fall back on? And it is a corporate job, because I guess I don't know what else you can really think of at the moment in terms of what to do. There definitely has been, I wouldn't say that pressure, but that thought that lingers in the back of your mind. Like, what if this doesn't go the way you want it to go? But ultimately, I don't know, I guess like my discipline has just kept me going in this, which is why I guess I've found that success. But long term, like you never know what's going to happen, but I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing at the moment. Yeah.
What do you think success means to you?
Happiness. For me, like my mom asks this all the time, like, what's success for you? And I was like, as long as I'm happy, I feel like I'm succeeding, because that means you're enjoying what you're doing. You're enjoying your life. If you're happy, there's so many people who have billions and billions of dollars and they're unhappy, whether it's the problem with their family, problem with the company, whatever it might be. And I guess like if I'm in this position where I'm happy, I think I'm enjoying my life more and making more of it than someone, I guess, who's thinking about other things and who isn't happy. So for me, success is happiness.
And so, how would you just define happiness?
How would I define happiness is, for me, it's quite simple. It's that when I'm smiling, that I'm really living in the moment, like not thinking about alternate possibilities and futures and what if I do this? What if I do this? It's just that, like, stay smiling, live in the present, and enjoy this moment. That's what it is.
And do you feel that right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm so happy to be here. Like, I was I was so hyped about your setup, which is like so cool. So I guess, yeah, these things is what like truly like brings me happiness.
Yeah. And also, I mean, the question was actually right now is in general, I'm super happy that you're happy being here.
Again, so I'm thinking about like this moment exactly, but yeah.
I love that. That's how much you're living in the moment right now. Right?
Exactly.
No, that's great, man. And I think it's also, I have a lot of friends in corporate and, some love it, some don't. Yeah. Some are thinking about the future. And it's one of those things that sometimes things fall into place. Sometimes like you have to really work for it. You have to be patient. But was there ever a time for you where you really, I asked this earlier, like give up? Like, was there a point where you maybe wanted to, I feel like just after graduating is probably like quite a it's quite a significant time in everyone's life, right?
Yeah.
Graduating high school, graduating university. Was there a time for you where you had doubts about what you're going to do?
Fortunately, no. And like, I know you said graduation. I didn't even go for my own graduation because I was at SEA Games. So I missed my own graduation and my family went to go like see like my best friends and all of them graduating. So I didn't even have that time, I guess, to really think about it. But I guess I also was very head set on doing this before I even graduated. Because I'd realized that, okay, this is something that's actually possible. Maybe if I had found that out later in my career, then after graduating, I would have been more like, okay, I should find a job first to make that money because otherwise you're just doing nothing. But I guess my parents were also very, very supportive. They were like, you do whatever you enjoy, whatever makes you happy. And of course, money is something that you should think about. But ultimately, if you do what you enjoy, you will make money. That's like, it's happened with like so many people who they love what they do. And because of that, they make far more than doing a 9-to-5 job, which is what some people like have to do because that's just like what society is, I guess, molded us to the path that you should follow.
Yeah. Do you think money was ever a pain point for you? Like, would you say that money is part of maybe what makes you happy?
For me, no. Obviously, it's very important because, without it, we wouldn't be able to live the lives that we've been able to live. And it's definitely a thought in the future that, like, for example, if I have kids, like, I want to make sure that they also have the same experience that we had. Like, we went to UWC, which was such an incredible experience for us in terms of how it molded us, the values it gave us, the morals. It's really helped us, like, keep within ourselves always. And so, but to afford that kind of education is also becoming very, very hard. So obviously, if you want to like plan your future and plan about that, you have to like set aside, I don't know, thousands of dollars for this education, which is worth it. But to fund it, you also need to think about that monetary aspect. So I guess money really, like, it's never been like a pain point, but it's definitely been like a thought to always keep in mind.
Yeah. And like, what advice would you have for creators when it comes to managing money? Because like you said, it can be really good one month and like really bad. Is there like, are you a good saver? Do you invest your money? Like, how are you even thinking about that? Or are you just like living in the moment and be like, if I want it, I'm going to go buy it? Or like, maybe it's not really a big thing. Like, how do you manage your money?
I think it's all three that you just said. So I've become a good saver. I guess I save more than I spend, that's for sure. But I do invest my money as well, which I've learned over time. As like my dad used to say that, okay, I worked for my money. I didn't make my money work for me. And so that I think was a very important thing, that you can earn millions of dollars, but like your money will go so much further than you working 9 to 5 every day, you know? So that I guess is what prompted me to get into investing. And it's not like I invest a huge amount, but it's like I'm learning how to do it because it is very important long term. Like I've heard from so many uncles who like really just give me that advice, like do it early and you'll see those rates and the effect of compounding become so important for you when you're like 45, 50, when you have a family and like you have that luxury because you did this investing early on, which is what my dad, for example, didn't do at an early age. So yeah, investing, and then of course, living in the moment. Yeah, of course. So I see something nice, I of course will get it. Like I'm a big foodie, so like I'll go out, and if it's a nice meal, definitely go. And there are two things that I learned from my parents to never compromise in life on for money, and one is health, and next is experiences. So, for example, let's say you go to I don't know, a place which has many restaurants, and you see one that's cheaper, but one that clearly is better. Always go for the one that's better, because, like, okay, maybe I'll pay $40 compared to $20 for a meal, but if the $20 makes me, I don't know, fatter or like more unhealthy for whatever reason because of the ingredients that are not as fresh or something, then you're going to be in the hospital thinking, oh, if I just spent $20 more, I would have been perfectly fine. So yeah, when they say health is wealth, it really is. Like, we take for granted, I feel, when our bodies are functioning perfectly. I'm recovering from a PCL tear 2 years before. I had an ATFL tear in my ankle. So like ankle, knee, I've torn my hip flexor, I dislocated my shoulder, and like food poisoning. And when you like, even when your temperature is like 2 degrees higher than it's supposed to be, you realize how much it means to be healthy. And so yeah, food is something that I guess is one thing to spend on, but also yeah, anything that will make sure that your health is in that tip-top shape is important.
Yeah.
And then experiences, of course, like traveling the world, just because let's say people don't want to take that direct flight and go through like from here to one city to another city and then reach your final destination because it's $50 cheaper, $100 cheaper than a direct flight that would make your life so much easier. Like, you'd much rather pay for the direct flight than go through the hassle of like waiting 4 hours in one place, another layover for 5 hours, and okay, I made it to my destination, but now I'm tired and groggy and I've lost a whole day of experiences, you know?
Yeah. And that's the interesting thing. Like, there's a quote that says, a healthy man or woman wants, a million things, but a sick person only only wants one thing.
Yep.
And it's like, that's so true, right? Like, yeah, there are times where I've been bedridden and like, I only just want to get better.
Yeah.
Like, all the other things I was thinking about wanting, or like, being jealous of like someone having like a supercar or something like that. Just like, those things don't matter in life. Like, what really matters is like being able to go out and like go to a nice restaurant, spend time with your family, maybe go on a holiday.
Yeah.
Those things are actually what you truly want to do when you're probably sick, right?
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's interesting. You've injured yourself so much.
Yeah.
So you probably know what it feels like to not play the sport you love. But yeah, what's something surprising that you've learned about yourself along this journey?
I guess like my creative side. Like, I knew that I enjoyed acting, but comedy was never something that I thought I would do, or getting into skits, or like being a content creator actually is never something that was even like remotely within my brain. I used to just watch YouTubers, watch the Sidemen, MKBHD, Casey Neistat, whoever it was. And I just never thought I would be in that industry. But I guess here I am now. So yeah, I don't know. It's been a crazy process, but one that I've really enjoyed.
Yeah. And if you could go back to when you just started your TikTok page and started making content, what would you say anything to your previous self, or
no chance? Like, I would be, if I had stopped, I would have told myself to just keep going, stay disciplined. But I think it's because of that discipline that I've been able to be where I am today. And so if anything, I think I would tell myself just to enjoy the process more. Like, at the start, I guess I was more like, obviously views matter at the start. And so I was more like, what can I do that'll get views? I should do that. But enjoying what you're doing is far more important than just the views. 100%.
Yeah. And I mean, you've amassed millions of followers now. A lot of people know you. What do you think is something that people get wrong about you?
The world nobody knows that I'm from Singapore. Like, everyone who I've ever met more or less has been like, oh, I thought you're from the US. I thought you're from the UK. they think I live in London or New York or Chicago or San Francisco. Some people thought I'm from Australia. I don't know. But when I say Singapore, people don't. They're like, what? Like they don't know. And so yeah, I think that's one thing that people don't know about me is that I'm from this little dot in the world that's so small. And I guess part of that is because like we have international accents that we've like I guess grown up with because of our environment. And so I guess that's what leads people to believe that we're more international than Singaporean. But yeah.
That's interesting. Do you think your audience are all over the world, or are they like mainly from a certain area?
So yeah, definitely like it's a global audience, but of course they're more concentrated in the UK, the US, Canada, Australia. I guess places where there's a high Desi population is my reach and who I appeal to the most. So I guess ultimately that's where most Desis are, apart from India, of course. So, yep, and the South Asian continent.
Yeah. What is the future plan for you? So I know you just released a clothing brand.
Yes. What the fish?
Shout out What the Fish. I'll leave a link to your website
Thank you.
in the description. But yeah, what was the plan behind that? Was that something you've always wanted to do, or?
Yeah, it was definitely something like I've always been open to doing, and it's crazy to like have like a clothing brand that like is inspired by something that I do. And I have released it, but it's still in like a development phase where like there's so many different ideas that I still have to put on clothing to release that it's not like it's official, but not fully official. And I'm still like getting feedback from people who've bought it and what they think about it. And so the thought process behind it was just another creative like path that I could take, because creating a clothing brand is like been a dream of mine. And my brother has done it himself. So he had started a brand ages ago, and he also found success with that. It's just he got very busy, so he couldn't give as much time to it, I guess. But he's still been like on it. And so I was very inspired by that to, I guess, try my own version of it and see where it goes. And again, it's been such a creative process because I've created the designs. I've got help from a couple of my friends for the logos and stuff, and they've been extremely helpful, and I've been very grateful for that. And yeah, it's just another thing that I've really enjoyed in terms of creativity. So yeah.
Yeah. And is it like Singapore based, or how are you like getting it all printed, or is it like print on demand, like kind of like per order?
Yeah. So it's print on demand. It's available worldwide. People have got it in US, UK, Australia. There was an order in Brazil as well. So it's been everywhere, and it's just treat it like a product on Amazon where you can order it and it'll come to your doorstep. So there's no limitation. It's not like it's locally based. It's everywhere.
Yeah. And do you think with the brand, like, is there any long-term vision you have for it? Is that something that you want to make really, really big, or you think it's just going to grow hand in hand with your content?
I mean, I would love for it to become really, really big. That would be so cool to like have a clothing brand that like I've created. But also I understand that like as I grow as a creator, it's probably going to be tangentially linked to that. But yeah, ultimately like, I've always wanted to create a brand that people enjoy wearing, not because it's me, but because they like what it looks like and they like its aesthetic. They like, they would give it as a gift, for example, to someone, and that person would be like, oh wow, this is cool. Not like, and of course there's the other side of it that people who, like, for example, I've bought merch from David Dobrik, for example, because I really enjoyed watching him. And so like that's another aspect like that fans want to do for creators.
Yeah. As I think like as a creator as well, like it's good to diversify too, especially because you're not making ad revenue right now. You have to rely on sponsorships and then also create your own ways. So besides clothing, what do you think is there something else on the horizon that you might want to try, or?
At the moment, no, I don't have anything in mind. I guess maybe if opportunities come in the future, maybe I could. I've always wanted to host a show. I would love to do that. Like, and I'm so inspired by Hot Ones because honestly, like the questions and just the overall aesthetic is unbelievable. And so I would love to be an interviewer who gets those interesting questions that people will be like, oh wow, like crazy how you know that. And I would love to do something like that, I guess.
Yeah, I could totally see you doing that. Do you think like what do you think would be the twist on it? Like
that's what I'm trying to think about. Something that like really grabs the people's attention, because obviously like interviewing someone is great, but what's that element that becomes more engaging, you know? For example, Hot Ones in terms of eating hot wings, and like your mind is like, you can't even think when it's that spicy, and to answer questions is like, what is this?
Genius.
And it's so genius. Like honestly, if I could, I'd do like hot curry, but I don't want to like copy their example, you know?
Yeah.
It's important to like, I guess, be your own and find an interesting way to do it. So
yeah, and you also mentioned streaming.
Yeah,
I feel like you'd be a great streamer, man.
I'd love to stream, honestly. I guess I have to learn how to do it. I don't know what I'd do on stream. I don't know if I'd game, because I'm not a gamer. But like I want to learn, like, I guess what people do on stream, like Kai Cenat, for example, or Speed. I know they're huge, and what they do on stream is they bring laughter to everyone, and they carry their stream wherever they go. So I guess maybe I could do that.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing about being a creator as well. Is like there are a lot of very good ways to scale your business as well. A lot of people are doing like courses, which can be looked negatively upon. I've done a couple of courses, but there are people that are providing very, very good value. Do you think that's something you'd ever do, like a course on how to act, how to create a skit? Do you think that's something you'd ever do?
Honestly, I'd love to, because like if I see myself in the position I was in 3 years ago, it would have been amazing for me to, I guess, meet a creator who guided me on how to get to the next level. And so if there's anything I can do is to give back to the community that's helped me grow. And if anyone wants help, then of course I would love to help them in whatever way possible, whether it's giving you advice on how to make your video more engaging, whether it's just tips on how to use TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, how to market yourself as a creator, and just talk about my journey and what it's been, because people do want to know about what's the journey like. How do you get to certain levels? What does that level mean to you? And stuff like that. So I think definitely like whether it's a class, whether it's a course, whether it's a meet and greet where people ask questions, I would love to possibly get involved in that.
Yeah. Have you ever done public speaking?
So I used to be in a debate club in Shanghai before. And so public speaking and like acting again in school, the plays was never a problem for me. So I guess I'm confident when it comes to that front. So talking to people it's cool. I enjoy it a lot. And so yeah, that part, I guess, which is a struggle for a lot of people, I guess I'm lucky it comes naturally to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Damn. I feel like we've I just checked the time. It's like it's been over an hour. I was like,
what?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like over an hour, right?
Oh my God.
But yeah, I guess we talked about your future, your past, what's been going on right now. The last question I have for you, that is something I ask all my guests, is if everyone was listening to this right now in the world, what message would you have for them?
What message would I have for everyone in the world? Live in the moment, stay happy, and do what you're passionate about, whatever it may be. If you're passionate about cooking, cook. If you're passionate about creating, create. If you love working in investment banking, by all means, do that. But yeah, I guess I've been very fortunate to live in the moment and to stay happy no matter what happens and what obstacles that have come in my life. And I guess that's really propelled me to be where I am today. And I would encourage everyone else to also do the same.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. That's a wrap.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, man.
Dude, thank you so much for having me.